ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, May 21st. You can already tell where this show is going to go. Welcome in. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to have fun today. I don't know if you saw the news, but Marshall has several student athletes going to the NCAA for track and field. And so we're fortunate to have here in the next few minutes. We haven't talked to him in a while. He is the director of track and field, Keith Roberts. He's going to join us, get us caught up and everything there. So they are off and running. Pardon the pun there. So he'll tell us a little bit more about that. But until then, we're going to open up our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And we'll do that throughout the show as well as we're getting closer to the Memorial Day weekend. We'll have plenty of baseball and basketball action for you this weekend, as well as hockey and racing on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. So we appreciate everyone who's listening. We've got our text line already going. Texter sends in a picture of the streaming app, says that they're listening. We appreciate that, and you can, of course, tell us where you're listening from. Our app is available on our website. Let's head over to WRVC.com. You can listen to the station live wherever you may be. And, of course, you can get the podcast later when it's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so that's all of the busy work that we got to attend to. Let's get you caught up on what's happening. We had baseball action earlier today here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Pittsburgh Pirates in action today, getting the job done against the Cardinals 6-2. Guardians got the win earlier today as well against the Tigers 3-1. Bottom of the fourth, we've got the Mets leading the Nationals 2-0. Games that we care about later tonight, it'll be the Braves, because after all, West Virginia seems to be a hotbed of Braves activity. Braves taking on the Marlins tonight at 6:40. Also, it will be the Yankees taking on the Blue Jays at 7:05. And again, this is a hotbed of New York Yankees activity. And then, of course, looking back at yesterday, the Cincinnati Reds getting the victory over the Phillies 9-4. Reds with the off day. Busy night tonight, and the association, the National Basketball Association, it is game number 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cavaliers trying to steal one away from the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. We'll have the game on our sister station, usually when there's not a conflict. But we got hockey tonight there. So keep it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We go on the air 7:30 with that one. Just flip back and forth. If you've got the app, you can do that really easy, by the way. That's not a problem. You can lock in. Hey, I want to listen to the basketball game. Hey, well, you got the app. You can tune in. Well, you know what? The basketball game is kind of a blowout. I want to listen to a little hockey. Okay, flip over. You can hit the app, get the other stations tab. You can listen to Cat Sports. You're covered right there. Or, of course, if you're out and about in your car, you can flip around. You're covered no matter where you're at. And, of course, speaking of the National Hockey League, we've got probably the matchup that most people around here would be interested in tonight. It'll be the Montreal Canadiens going to Game 7 against Buffalo, eliminating them in overtime in that Game 7. Have made the trip to Raleigh, North Carolina to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. That should be a fun one tonight. A lot of the experts are saying, hey, the Hurricanes are going to roll in this one. Yeah, they didn't do so well in the regular season against the Canadians. Nick Suzuki should be the one you watch tonight if you're not that familiar. You actually tune in for the Canadians. He is their standout center. Sebastian Aho, outstanding center for the Carolina Hurricanes. So we'll have that game for you tonight over on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. So yesterday, the work began. We got lights. We got lights being put in at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. I know it's just lights, but it's a big deal. Apparently, it's a big deal. Well, of course it's a big deal. You're getting some new technology, some new lights at the Joan. It's going to make night games a lot better. Night games seem to do better for a lot of Herd fans. I'm not going to lie to you. You know what? Noon kickoff. We're done by 3 or 4. You got the rest of your Saturday night. You can tailgate the rest of the evening. Do whatever you want to. Celebrate a Herd win. But the nighttime games seem to attract a lot more. So we're going to have lights. And that means if you're putting new lights in, you're going to have a lot more nighttime football. You can't go about just doing that and just not really getting the full use out of that. So the lights are going in. Of course, again, that's the big deal because Herd fans have been asking for lights, improved lights for a while now. I know you want all of the bells and whistles, baby steps here, absolutely baby steps here. You know, it's not going to be, because these things cost, it's not going to be as extravagant as some of the other Power 5, Power 4 schools now with their elaborate lighting setups. Hey, let's get the lights going. They're even painting the goalpost. I saw that. So starting to clean up, spruce up Jones C. Edwards Stadium, getting it ready for the upcoming season. I mean, that's what you do in these spring and summer months. You get ready for fall and you get ready for football season. So hopefully we're going to see some new things, sprucing up the Jones just a little bit, get it a little tidy, get it a little fan-friendly, get it a little ready for some football this year. So we'll get your text in just a few minutes, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're going to turn our attention to Marshall Track and Field. There's going to be six representatives from Marshall competing in the NCAA Championships East first round. And joining us in a few minutes will be Marshall's director of track and field, Keith Roberts. He'll tell us more about what we can expect and just how this is a big deal for the program. This is a program record. Participants, 6 are going to the NCAA Championships. Keith Roberts, our guest on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue with this Thursday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So keep those coming. We're going to turn our attention first, though, to the good news that came out of Marshall today. There's a record number of participants from Marshall's track and field program going to the NCAA Championships East first round. 6 participants to tell us more about what a phenomenal season it's been for Marshall track and field is the director of track and field and cross country for the Thundering Herd, Keith Roberts. Keith, good talking to you again, and congratulations. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. You got more than one participant, 6. That's a record number for the Herd, and that's got to make you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, these kids worked really, really hard, and a lot of them, almost every single one of them, hit a personal best in order to get in this year. So it was great to see.
Just compare that for me. You get 6 in, and it's fortunate in any given year you get maybe 1 or 2, but 6 is a pretty big deal. Not everybody can get more than 6 or less than 6, right? Not everybody gets invited. So this is a pretty big deal to have that many student athletes, able to go on and participate.
Yeah, one thing, people, on the outside don't really know about our sport. To qualify for the NCAA is probably it's the lowest percentage out of all sports. And there's only like 5% of track and field athletes that qualify. So it's just amazing. And to be honest with you, again, I'm proud of those kids that made it and what they did, and our staff, the work that we put in. But we also had about 3 or 4 that were about, 2 to 3 spots out. So I think as a director, that's kind of sitting on my head like, man, we were really close. So I'm proud of all of them, all their effort and what they did, and the kids that were close. So it's exciting. It's good for the program. We're in a position now where people are contacting us. They want to come here and be part of it, as opposed to us having to. We're still reaching out, but we're getting a lot more people reaching out to us.
And that's probably the most exciting thing you've said, is that people now recognize that you can come to Marshall University and this is a really good quality program and you can compete and succeed here. So that's probably more exciting than anything, just knowing that those young student athletes' hard work have contributed to where you're at right now.
Exactly, and even at the conference meet, we had some things that were kind of left out there that we could have did, but we also know that the performances were at a high level, a lot of records broken, and people see it all across the country. So we're excited for the future of what we got going on.
Well, let's talk about your student athletes, and of course, I think we got to start with Laura Check. She's going to represent Marshall women in the long jump, and she's just had an outstanding season.
Oh yeah, I mean phenomenal. First couple years, we're kind of down for her. I think she had only scored 2 points in the long jump total going into the season, and she wins 2 titles. But her ability level is amazing, and her skill level is amazing. But her work ethic, it just came to a different level. Her focus came to a different level. Not that she was lacking in any area; she always had what it took. But she also figured out, hey, to get to this next level, this is the detail and this is the focus that I need to have. And man, it's been fun. I mean, she's fun to coach, fun to watch compete. She's a very, very competitive human being. She doesn't want to lose anything. So yeah, I'm excited for her as well going into this meet.
And she's the lone representative from the women's side. You have five gentlemen from the men's side that have received an opportunity to compete. Where do you want to start? Because I'm sure you've got something great to say about all of them.
Yeah, definitely. And before I do, I just wanted to mention the few that I had on the outside. We had on the outside looking in was Maya Bose, a hurdler that was a couple spots out. Markayla Moore, who's a local kid, who's a couple just like 2 spots out. And then another one, Carly Butterball, who's a javelin thrower on the women's side, and 2 of them are freshmen and sophomores, so they'll be back and they'll be hungry to go next year. On the guys' side, I think I'll probably start with OT. He broke our school record this year in the triple jump. Came here from a junior college, has worked extremely hard, very focused, very respectful kid, gets it done in the classroom. You couldn't ask for a better person, and that's what it's all about with me is the people. And every day, no matter what happens, he comes back and he comes in and competes. And going into this meet, he had a little bit of problem scratching and some of his jumps. And I believe in this meet he had 5 jumps that were clean jumps without a scratch, and every single one of them was above his PR coming in. So excited for him. Cam Hamby, same kind of deal. He came in here, older guy, had to have a personal best, had to get better to get here. He's like a mini coach for me, and he's come in and worked really hard, helped out the team as well. He's a guy that all the guys like on the team, no matter what event group. We're at the airport getting ready to eat, and he walks up with 2 of our top distance guys. They're having lunch together in the airport and laughing and joking and just having a good time. And it's nice to see all these kids, him, OT, all of them. They have ability, but they're great teammates. They care about other people's performances as much as they do themselves. And then our freshman Trey, he was a 48-foot triple jumper in high school. Has improved by 3 feet since he's been here. He's from a small town in Kentucky. Really wasn't heavily recruited. And I think one thing with us is we can find talent anywhere, and really help people get to that next level. And he's really athletic kid, could jump out the gym and just able to high jump as well, which you saw. And then Ryan Mukhtar, and I didn't say him last because what he's done is least, but I say him last because he's somebody who came in when we were just starting to build this. And he's a local kid, West Virginia kid from Beckley, West Virginia. And sometimes people overlook these kids in the state. And he's somebody that we were lucky to get and blessed to have on the team. Last year, he kind of, was getting used to the program. Didn't have a lot of older kids around him, so he's kind of figuring things out. And this year, he just took it to another level. And I can say this about all of them. He's also one of the smartest kids you ever met. Academically, getting it done in the classroom, you don't have to worry about any issues with him. And so I'm really excited for him as well.
What's the secret sauce? You have a program where you don't hear really about much turnover. The transfer portal is a lot bigger in football, basketball. You got to replenish your rosters on a yearly basis. For you, it feels like, or at least it comes off as, hey, these kids come in, you don't let go of them. They're not going anywhere. They want to stay, and you can build.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it in our sport, you know what I mean? And there is a little bit of it that we have to deal with, but for the most part with us, I think it's just building that depth and building, an atmosphere where people feel like they're part of a family. And there's really no secret sauce. I mean, some of that, just to be straightforward, is luck and getting the right kind of kids and that want to be here at Marshall. And we actually signed a young lady from the state. And she's one of the best sprinters that's ever come out of West Virginia. And when we called her to offer her, the excitement that she had to be here, those are the kind of kids that we're looking for in the recruiting process, and we just hope that sticks and keeps and continues.
Our guest is the Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Marshall University, Keith Roberts. A record number 6 participants advancing to the NCAA Championships East first round. Did that surprise you when you first found out that it was a record number and that you had at this point set that mark for the program?
Yeah, I think it did. I thought there might have been some more in the past at some point, but again, I don't want to be negative because I'm not, and I love what we accomplished and what our kids accomplished. I'm just one of those people that just keep thinking about those 3 or 4 that we could have had. And I look at the West region, and actually our 4x1 and our 100-meter runner would have qualified in the West region. So I'm excited. I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm a hungry person, and I just want us to continue to do more. But it's a great thing. It's a really great thing.
Our guest is the Director of Track and Field and Cross Country, Marshall University, Keith Roberts. And as we've talked about, the depth is there. This program has grown. For you personally, what's your self-evaluation where the program is now compared to where you thought it might be and where you want it to be?
Yeah, I know that we've gotten better as becoming a team and being able to get more event areas involved. I don't know when the last time we had a 100-meter runner make a final, but we had 2 this year, and we have 3-4 people in the 1-200 all-time list. Broke a lot of records. I know we're really close to where I want to be as a team complete. Like I want to go to a conference meet, piece everything together, get all of our event groups going on the same day. But now I know we have the personnel to do it, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. We have the people in each area to accomplish that. And I think the team is starting to believe that. I think before it was kind of like coaches saying it, so I think we can. But now they saw things start to come together, and I really believe they're feeling we can do it as a team.
What's it going to take to get to the next step for you? Sometimes you hear coaches talk about facilities. You hear sometimes coaches talking about travel, all that stuff. For you, is it just I've got my roster, I've got my depth now, and I've got a place to run, and I don't need anything else. Let's go. What's is that basically the beauty of it for you? Is you've got everything you need. You just now got to go out there and do the work.
Obviously it's nothing you can sit and dwell on. If we had an outdoor track, it would be easier. You know what I'm saying? It'd be easier to accomplish, and that is what it is, though. There's no excuses here. I knew that when I signed up, and you work with what you sign up for. I think I'd regret not saying the more we have some great people out there that support our program. The more of that we can get, the better as well. just like any other sport, there is a lot of resources out there that places have. So, and we have that, and that for that to continue is important. For us to get more people on board, know what we're doing, want to support our program is going to help us retain more student athletes. And then, but I do think we have the roster now. It's just continuing to build, continuing to retain. You never want to get comfortable and say this is all we need because, just like now, there's a couple areas where if we had a little bit more depth, we'd probably be a little bit higher up on the rankings. But we just have to continue to grow. But we do have the roster. I feel very confident, especially on the women's side, from top to bottom with what we have. And on the men's side, it's just a matter of them getting a little bit older and growing and learning the program. And I think we'll be good.
Outside of just saying, "Hey, great job, coach, go Herd," what do you need from fans? Show up. Of course, I always need financial support. Every program does, but where would you like to see the fans be for the upcoming season? And where do you want to? Yeah, where do you want to deploy them at? How do you want them to help you?
Yeah, I mean, we have an exceptional fan base. Our administration noticed that. They came to the meeting. They're like, "Man, people are out here supporting and cheering, and I just want as many as possible." There's some exciting things to see. There's nowhere like Marshall, and I don't just say that because I'm here. There's nowhere like this community. People love Marshall. That's what makes Huntington special. They love, no matter what the sport is, they're involved and they want to be part of it. So just for that to continue, and like I said, even more, come out, come to the meet, cheer for the kids, understand what we're doing is bigger than athletics. And I think we have that already, but the more and more people know that, and people like you that put us out there, man, we really appreciate that, because some people could just say, "Oh, that's track," or whatever. But, for you to put us out here and let people hear more about us, I think that's special as well. And I being around our kids, like our kids do community service. They get it done in the classroom. They're respectful. So also for them, like we send them out to the community. And I let them know, like, hey, you go out and read to these kids at these schools. They get to look up to somebody that they could be in the future. So I don't want to ramble on, but that's all we want for our sport and for people to understand what we do, because they work. They work. You hear it a lot from just the general public, not here in Huntington, but just out in the world. I think they understand what some of the football players go through and that kind of thing. But, I mean, track and field athletes, they're competing year-round, They've been in competitive season for like 7 months now, and that's a tough thing to do, and they're resilient kids. So that's what we look for.
I'm willing to say that more student athletes in the state of West Virginia probably compete and participate in track and field than most of the other sports. I mean, football might be an exception, but I'm willing to bet that you probably have more student athletes in the state of West Virginia and in the region that are doing track and field, more so than they're doing some of the other specialty sports. I don't think it's just track as a mentality anyone should have, and if they do, they're missing out.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is the highest participated sport for girls in high school. If I'm not mistaken, I know at one point it was. So, yeah.
And to be quite fair, we all gather around and watch the Olympics in the summer. And what are the signature sports? That's you. Yeah. You do that every day, every year.
Yes, sir. Yep. So, and it's exciting. There's so much going on. I think when you get somebody that comes to their first track meet, one of the first things they tell me is they had no idea how much stuff there is to watch. I mean, the whole day you can watch a thrower, a jumper, a sprinter, distance. There's always activity, and it's exciting. So, and that's why I like being in Huntington, because we have a strong running community in the city, and we have our kids meet. People come out and run in that, so we get a lot of support.
Yeah, and I'm sure at the high school level as well, you're getting a lot of support. At least I'm hoping you're getting a lot of support from the local high schools and even statewide and in the region.
Definitely. Again, that's what I said. Like, it's a special place, we have connections all through West Virginia and even in Ohio, up in Ohio, you can see it on our social media. As soon as they put something up, I mean, it just blows up. People want to they're involved, they're invested in our program.
Keith Roberts is with us, director of track and field cross country at Marshall University. So this will begin next week for these student athletes, and hopefully everyone moves on. If fans want to support, get behind this team, anything special coming up, there's going to be a bus off, and people can show up and support and cheer you on, anything like that.
Well, we're just taking bands. It's a group of 6.
Okay.
We take off Tuesday, and since you bring that up, once I get the itinerary together, I'll put something on the website on our Facebook page about what time we depart, and see if we can get some people out here. That'd be really cool.
Okay, so I'm going to take the small vehicles. You're driving. Obviously, that means you control the playlist and the music, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll probably be in the passenger seat, though. I'm getting old.
You're still controlling the music, though, right?
Yeah, still controlling the music, though, And you bring that up. It's funny. We listen to a lot of music at practice, and Laura Check, her jumps crew that comes in, we have 2 jump sessions. They always put on some country music, and they say that's what makes them go far. So I might have to play a little bit of country music if she's in the van.
Okay, just a little bit. But I'm curious, what's the playlist for you? What are you throwing in? What are your top 5, top 10?
I listen to old school rap, but I've gotten into some blues in my older years, so I'm a little bit of a Howlin' Wolf guy. Are you familiar with Howlin' Wolf?
I'm a little familiar with him. I was in the blues in my youth because B.B. King was killing it.
B.B. King, can't beat him. He's in my top 5. But then I'll throw in some old school rap and get going. The new school rap's not really my style, but the old school rap is a little bit more home for me. So that's what I like to listen to, and then maybe some Lauryn Hill on the R&B side. So.
I don't want to make you jealous.
I mixed it up.
Yeah, I don't want to make you jealous, but once upon a time, I was a little younger. I was a student at Marshall. B.B. King performed at the Keith Albee, and I got tickets and seats. I got to see that.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. I would love to see that.
Yeah, it was an amazing show. So, all right, so I could be down with this playlist. Little country, a little B.B. King, a little blues. Nothing too extreme though, because we don't want to mess up a good thing for her or any of these other students.
No, we don't want to do that.
Keith Roberts is with us, director of track and field cross country. Good luck. Congratulations. This is amazing. Everyone put in the hard work, and hopefully next year we've got more. We're talking again about a record number, so it sounds like you're really close already.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm excited. Hopefully the goal is to get to Oregon. That's the next stage, and a couple of them have already achieved, like Laura achieved the mark that it took to qualify to Oregon last year. So to make it there, 6:19 in the long jump made it last year, 6:17, and she's jumped 6:30. So she's jumped over what it took to qualify to the final round. So we'll see what next week has in store for her.
I'm excited, looking forward to it. Keith, as always, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to future success, and let's hope that all these student athletes make it to the next round.
All righty. I appreciate you. Take care.
Take care. That's Keith Roberts, director of track and field, cross country, Marshall University. Hopefully we're talking next week about all 6 of his student athletes making it, and I'm excited for all of them. Laura Check, I think she's definitely going to be a shoe-in. I don't want to jinx her, but let's hope that everyone makes it. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You're listening to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue on with this Thursday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is open and brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Question from the text line. Texter says, Paul, everyone knows the story about Randy Moss winning the 200 indoor at the MAC Conference Championship while he was in school. Did he ever compete in some type of indoor regionals after that win, or was that just a one-off event? If I remember correctly, we're talking about the Southern Conference Track and Field Championships. It was 1996, as we mentioned, and Marshall won the league titles in the 60 and the 100-meter sprints. I remember that. What else do I remember? He won the Southern Conference indoor title, 55-meter dash, I believe, and that was in 1997. It was brief. It was very brief. But when he competed, he was breaking Marshall records. He was destroying things. So it was one season. I do remember that. It was I don't want to say it's like a one-off, but it was one season because he did that and then focused really on football. And I'm hoping we get a speedster to come to Marshall, a legendary speedster, a legend in the making. I would love to see that again. And I remember a few years ago when track and field was coming back for the men, that it was said that, hey, we've had football players, student athletes say, hey, I'd like to look at maybe running track and field as well. And so that was a sign that Marshall was really interested into bringing that back. And, of course, Keith has come in and done a fantastic job of elevating the program, competing, never satisfied, happy with the progress the team's made, but never resting on his laurels. And I love that about him. And I would love to see more support. And I don't mean, hey, the university is not supporting. I'm just saying, hey, let's remember, Marshall's got a pretty good track and field program going on. They've got facilities. They need more, obviously. He mentioned, and he was not complaining. He was saying, hey, outdoor track, we would be even better. If we had that, we had outdoor track, we'd be a lot better. Hopefully that's coming down the line. I don't know when. I say that now with no clear picture, but I'd like to see that as well. You need some outdoor facilities for the Thundering Herd, and you can work all that in with some of the other sports. And I know Chris Grass, he wants grass. He wants a grass practice field. He wants a grass playing surface. I know that. And I get that. I completely get that. And it wouldn't be a bad thing, once Marshall gets things into a better rhythm, gets everything where it needs it to be, as far as revenue is concerned and taking care of its obligation with the university, trying to get down to a 50-50 split. And so the university is not paying more for the athletic department than the athletic department is. Once I think that happens and you get everything where the university and the athletic department are happy with the way the revenues are coming in, you could look at some of these things, but that's probably a few years out. I would guess. But yeah, Randy Moss was different. The kids say that. I agree. He's just different. And he was tremendous. And for the short time Marshall had him, he definitely was fun. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got to take a quick one. When we come back, we will wrap this up here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thanks, Dave. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, it is Metro News Talk Line. We tune into that every day, 10:06 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. It's Friday, so that means you can call Dave and TJ, and you can just pop off on them. Steam release. That is the last 30 minutes of the show. They do that starting at 11:30, but why wait? Tune in early, 10:06 tomorrow, right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter wants to know, where would you even put an outdoor track for the Thundering Herd? That's a good question. Where would you put that? Would you have to tear something down and put? No, I don't think you would do that. Where would you put that, though? Thanks for tuning in. I want to thank Keith Roberts, Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Marshall University, for joining me today. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Morgan Pemberton. A cross-country motorcycle ride honoring veterans goes through the Mountain State.